Straight after the war, I was liberated in Buchenwald, and there was a Rabbi Schechter from America. He took us to Switzerland, and I was in Switzerland for just under a year. And then I found my brother is alive, he's in Paris, and he came to see me, and I came to Paris, and I stayed with him for about 3.5 years. While I was in Paris, I went to see the Buchenwald boys in Paris. There were a place called Fontenay-aux-Roses. Went to see them there, and we were created, and being there, a lady from Melbourne came to give them a speech, and she said to them, "Boys, I've got a country for you which is milk and honey. Money is lying in the street. We're looking for people to pick up the money." So we decided, 65 of us, we're going to give it a go, and we're going to go to Australia. So I registered myself, and I went back to my brother. I told him, I said, "Look, Raman, I registered myself, I'm going to Australia." He says, "Good, go to Australia, it's a good country, did not suffer from the war, and you'll make papers for us, and we come too." So coming to Australia in July 1949, actually it was, and we were taken to a home in Camberwell, in Burke Road, Camberwell, and we stayed there for about 2 weeks. Then we started branching out. We're looking for jobs. To get a job that was very easy, there was no problem. I was walking with 2 boys in Flinders Line, and I see I work at a place there called Victorian Union Workers Federation. So we went in there, the 2 of us, and we said, "Me look job." We could not speak English, so "Me look job," and they said, "Sorry, no job." So I took out my card from Paris that I belonged to the union. So we said, "Oh yes, job." That means I was a little communist, so I got a job. They gave me a job on the wharf, which was one of the biggest bludgeon job that you could ever imagine. I was put into a gang of 18 people. There were 6 were in the hall, 6 were halfway, 6 were on the top. So I happened to be right on the bottom of the hall there. Every half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, the crane came down. All we had to do was get hold of the thing, they hook it up and says, "Take it away, George." The rest of the time, we were sitting, drinking beer, and playing cards. And we were playing cards, so it was very good. And my job was from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 10 o'clock at night. So that means I had the day and the night. And so I looked at somewhere else, and I found another job. I learned to be a presser, a steam presser. So I got the job, and they paid me not bad money. The job was at Solly Lou's father, Pinchas Lou, because he was a friend of my father, right? He was a friend of my father, so he gave me the job. And when I got the job there, he gave me an iron which weighed about 9 kilos, and I had to open the seams there. But the iron was so heavy that I just couldn't do the work. And he wanted to adopt me, and I said no. I said, "I'm not going to be adopted because I've lost my parents and everything else." And then I worked there for 2 weeks, and then I decided, no, I'm going to give the job away because it was too heavy for me. I never worked so hard during the war in the concentration camp as I worked here. So I left the job, and I found another job. And I found another job with called the Shelach brothers. And I got there, and I had a beautiful job. I worked from 7 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock. I got home, I think, about 7 or 8 pounds a week. And from the wharf where I worked, I had about 20 pounds a week. So I made good money then, because everybody else would come with me, the boys, they were only earning 7, 8 pounds a week, and I was earning 27 to 28 pounds a week. Being in the country 12 months, I bought myself a little cottage in Brunswick. And we were going out every Saturday night. We were out dancing. And going dancing, I met up with the Jewish girls with a place called Mais in the Lux, and we were happy. And then one day one Sunday we decided we're going to go to the city. And as we went to the city on the Sunday, that was a disaster for us. Why? Because when we got there, it's a cemetery. In 1949, it was a cemetery. There was nothing there. You could not have a drink of water. Everything was closed. So we went back to Camberwell and we asked the director in Camberwell, Mr. Wexler, I said, Mr. Wexler, you told us to go to the city and it's a cemetery. He said, you went to the wrong place. Next time go to St. Kilda. So we went to St. Kilda the following Sunday, and it was beautiful. A lot of people in the street, happy Jewish shops and talking Yiddish and everything. It was nice. And on the Sunday nights, we used to go dancing in Mais in the Lux. And there were only Jewish dancing there, so I met up with the Jewish girl. I asked her to dance, and she danced with me. And then a week after, we decided I invited her to go to the snow, and she went to the snow, and this went on for about 2 months or so. I decided, no, it's time that I settle down. I'm going to propose to her, and I want to get engaged. So we went dancing on a Sunday night. I proposed to her, and she said, yeah, you have to come speak to my dad. So we got home at Saturday night, or about 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. She lived in Northcote, and I lived in Carlton. So we got home, and their parents were asleep, and she started calling her, Dad, Shaya wants to talk to you. So her father said to his wife, Malkinson, I think it's going to be a mazel tov. And he was right. I asked him, I said, I want your hand, I want to get engaged to your daughter. And he said, Soll sein mit mazel. We got engaged. A year after, we got married, and we were happy.
Who was the lucky girl?
The lucky girl was Rosie Schuster. And believe me, when I got to that home there, I could not wish for anything better in the world. Even with my own parents, I was never treated as good as my mother would have treated me. Rosie's mother was to me like a real mother, which I never called her mother-in-law or father-in-law. I called her mom and I called him dad. And they were happy. A year after, Rosie became pregnant and my daughter Sandra was born. We were happy and I had a job. Then the job decided, I said, no, it's enough. I got enough money now. I want to go into my own business.
Okay, today I'm going to be making a chiffon cake. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my oven on to 180. I've divided it into the 2 steps. It's very simple, 2 steps. And my chiffon tin. You need a chiffon tin, which I have greased. I only grease the center and the base. Nothing else is greased in it. Okay, so to start off with, you need 6 eggs, and I've separated the eggs, the whites and the yolks. So I'm going to add sugar to the whites and sugar to the yolks. So I'll just do step 1, and step 1 is beating the whites and slowly just add in the sugar. It's 3/4 of a cup of sugar. So you beat the whites till they sort of like they fit, like they have a peak. so you have like little peaks. So it's got like more of a meringue base. And then I'm just going to place the egg whites behind me. Step 1 done. Right, so in step 2, I have another, I have the 6 egg yolks. And I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to beat them as well. And I'm going to add, slowly, I'm going to add the sugar. And once it turns like a whitish color, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of oil, 3/4 of a cup of orange juice, and 2 cups of self-raising flour. The orange juice is 2 oranges. I've just squeezed 2 oranges, which usually works out to be 3/4 of a cup. I've just beaten the egg yolk and the sugar, and it's like a light consistency. And now I'm going to be adding the oil and the orange juice together, our last step, at a slower pace. I'll just put them a few slower, and I'll add it's a battery consistency. I'm going to use my spatula. And now I'm just going to combine the batter into our egg whites. Just do it gently, a little bit slowly at the beginning, just to get a I'll just put that down. Just be gentle in the beginning, and then slowly you can just add more and more. Once it's combined, I'm going to pour it into my Shiffon tin, and I have only greased the bottom and the spout. So I'm going to pour it in gently. Right, here is the cake in the tin. I'm going to pop it into the oven at 180 for 15 minutes. Give it 15 minutes. You can check beforehand, and we'll see you later. I've just checked the oven, and the cake looks nearly ready. It's got a few more minutes to go, but it's browning on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take 3 bowls, and I just turn them upside down, and I'm going to take the cake out of the oven and place them on the 3 bowls upside down. So it just looks ready. So I'll just do that. So I did it for about 46 minutes. Show you what the cake looks like. Close the oven. I'm always in a hurry. And I'm going to invert it onto the... And then I just cover it with a dishcloth, and I leave it till it's cool. I can even actually leave it overnight. So if you make it on a Thursday night, you can take it out of the tin on Friday, ready for Shabbos. Okay, so the cake has been upside down. It's really cold, and I'm going to just take it out. I only have to remove it from the sides gently. Right, and there's our chiffon cake. So this is the chiffon cake, nice and easy, enjoy. Thanks for listening.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Mendy and Malkinson for doing such an incredible job in these unprecedented and difficult times. to keep our wonderful community connected. I've truly enjoyed the weekly pre-Shabbat editions, as well as many other information videos and webinars that you have produced by Chabad Glen Eira. I also wanted to thank Leon, my husband, for being a true source of information, inspiration, and support. In this week's Parsha Shelach, we read about the 12 spies being sent to explore the promised land of milk and honey, the land of Israel. There are so many interesting themes that come into discussion from this episode. Let's have a look at some of them. Firstly, what makes a true leader? In the beginning of the Parsha, we're told that all 12 men were righteous leaders, representing the 12 tribes of the nation. All of them were distinguished men that were sent to survey and report on the promised land and its inhabitants. In fact, Moses gives them a detailed list of what to look out for. And when they come back, the men give a detailed account of what they saw. However, this is also when a very clear distinction between Joshua and Caleb and the rest of the group becomes strikingly obvious. The men do answer Moses' questions about findings. However, it is the manner with which these men give their accounts that shows and distinguishes Joshua and Caleb from the rest of the group. Joshua and Caleb show strength in character by having the vision and faith in overcoming the obstacles of the inhabitants and the tirade. Meanwhile, their fear clouds the other man's judgment, making the reporting as an emotional interpretation rather than facts. Another profound aspect of it is literally spelled out in the parasha, when the men say, "We were like grasshoppers in our eyes, and so we were in theirs." By perceiving themselves of being less, they literally diminished themselves to that, not only in their own eyes, but in the eyes of the others too. On one side, you can see how positive self-confidence and outlook have a huge effect on our consciousness, our perception of ourselves, and the outcome of our actions. In the story of the spies, because the people did not believe and have faith in what was possible, the whole generation of Jewish people had to wander extra 40 years in the desert and could not enter the land of Israel with Moses in the lead. On the other hand, having a confidence in your own mission can have a profound effect on how others see you. This is so relevant in our lives, where a true success comes with a vision. Wherever it is in sport or business, people who succeed are undeniably the ones that go beyond what seems achievable, stretching their minds and abilities past the usual norm. In the parasha, Joshua has those character traits that later prove him worthy of leading the nation into Israel. In fact, the spies were not afraid only of physical, but they were also afraid of the spiritual challenges that came with going into the promised land. During the year in the desert, people witnessed incredible miracles performed by Hashem, the punishment that was inflicted on the superpower of the time, the Egypt, the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, taking people out of slavery, giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai, the daily manna and Miriam's stone that provided water to the tribes, and the cloud that was giving protection to them from the enemies and leading them, telling which way to go, which left the man to be fully immersed in the spiritual world to concentrate on learning the Torah. Going to the land of Israel meant that they had to forget about all of that. They had to fight for the land, they had to work to feed themselves, to get water, to produce clothes, and they were afraid that all this physical work was going to take them away from the spirituality level that they have achieved in the desert. Whereas they truly didn't understand the meaning of the mission that Hashem gave us as Jewish people, the real reason that Hashem gave us the land of Israel, which was not Holy Land at the time it was given to us, but it was for us to make it holy, and in fact to bring the holiness into the whole world, to bring the godliness into the world where Hashem can reside. Shabbat Shalom.
The yard sites for the upcoming week. Caroline Apple for her father, Bernie Fliegner for his brother, Sandra Bauer for her mother, myself for my father, Robbie Haber for his father. May we all be blessed with long life. the Jewish birthdays for the upcoming week. Julia Artenstein, Ephraim Bergman, Claire Danko, Isabella Danko, Sasha and Zach Feldman, Malva Friedlander, Ron Fulop, Shnezi Grona, Michal Haber, Josh Kupchik, Ezra Lipsky, Trevor Mills, and Debbie Samuels. We wish you all a very happy birthday. Again, this coming Thursday night, we're having Sinai Down Under, the second episode. Last week was a smashing success. We had a lot of feedback on the professionalism and the inspiring content that was presented. This Thursday, the second episode will be focusing on relationships and raising children. So go to sinaidown.org/live on this Thursday night, 7:30. So what do we read in this week's Parsha? Moses sends 12 spies to scout the land. The purpose of this journey was to prepare the Jewish people for the subsequent conquest and settlement of the land. But their mission ended in disaster. They inculcated fear and despair and national hysteria. And the Jewish people refused to continue on their journey to enter the Holy Land. The Jewish people were severely punished, and that generation died in the desert. Only their children and grandchildren merited to enter into the land. But there's a sequel to the story. 39 years later, before Joshua entered the Holy Land, he sent 2 spies to scout the land, as we read in Haftarah. But their mission ended with tremendous success. They brought back an optimistic message, and they empowered and encouraged the people that they will be able to conquer the land and settle the land. But what was the difference between the two sets of spies? One explanation can be found in one word that Joshua said to the spies when he sent them. In the second chapter of Joshua, it says that Joshua sent 2 spies, and he uses the word cheresh. What does cheresh mean? One of the interpretations of cheresh means deaf. What Joshua was saying is that in order for you to be successful in your mission, you're going to have naysayers saying, you can't do this, it's too risky, it's not going to work. You ought to be somewhat deaf. This is a very important lesson for us as Jews today. If any one of us want to take on something worthwhile, whether in our personal life or for the good of others, a lot of times we're told by some and sometimes by many that you can't do this. It's not going to work. Why do you need the headache? We need to be deaf to the naysayers and to those that discourage us from doing something worthwhile. The opening paragraph of the Code of Jewish Law says that we should not be embarrassed or ashamed by the scoffers. The fact that it's in the beginning of the whole Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, means it's a fundamental principle that needs to guide us. If we want to take on something, another mitzvah, right? A lot of times we're discouraged because of other people telling us, why are you doing this? What for? You're becoming too frum. Similarly, when we take on a new program, a new project, we hear people telling us, Why do you need a headache? It's not going to work. In order to be successful with a mission, we need to be deaf to anything that discourages it. We are put in this world by Hashem for a mission to make ourselves better and to make the world around us better. And if He sent us to do this, we for sure can and will succeed. I wish you a very wonderful Shabbos.